Hey everybody, Rhadamant here. Thanks for tuning in to episode 9 of Stationeers. So last episode, we had mostly set up what we need for the fixing the sort of power problems of our atmospherics. And this episode, I'm going to continue much the same, and then also do some advanced smelting. So the next thing I want to do is to stop worrying about suit batteries. My batteries in my suit keep just about running out, and I want to make a nuclear battery. Right? That seems like a pretty lofty goal, but it's actually very obtainable. So what I'm going to do is to start making a fabricator, which requires gold, copper, and iron, all of which I have in droves. So I was getting the question of why haven't I made a fabricator yet, so here you go. I am making a fabricator. We don't have any copper yet. Hold on. How much have we smelted? We have smelted 18 of 20. So what I'm going to do first is to make cables and fix the power problem that we have over here, which will allow me to reclaim my suit's battery. But I have a lot of ores here ready to go for some chemistry. Maybe that's enough cabling. We will see. So what we wanted to do was to connect... Oh yeah, that's definitely going to be enough cabling. Connect this APC here to the battery's output from down below. And I did it in a really sort of crude and messy way. But all of the cables that I have right now, like literally every single one that I've basically constructed, is temporary. And the reason it's temporary is because eventually I'm going to want heavy cables, which is a different type of cable that can hold more power. Not every cable, but most of them. So at this point, our area power controller here is now charging off the battery and not charging the battery, which is important. And then I'm going to take the large battery that's in there and swap it over here. So the battery in this APC down here that we've always swapped for power, because I haven't actually put a battery charger anywhere yet, is the one we're going to use. So this APC is all set, and of course these solar power panels are still functioning just fine. And if you're worried that I have a lot of mess to clean up later on, yes, I know. We will do slow base improvements over time. Okay, so now we have the copper we need for the fabricator. Oop, that's not a fabricator. And a fabricator takes actually a pretty long time to manufacture. So what I'm going to do is to very carefully cycle into the farm so that we can do some farming. Making sure that our crops are alive and doing well. And I'm going to sort of carefully not knock into any of these ores. It is, of course... let's do a quick atmosphere analyzation. We have a little bit more O2, but as long as we don't have no CO2, we're fine. So eventually I might want to flush the system, and by that I mean at the end of a harvest period, basically suck all the air out of here and replace it with CO2. But we are a long time away from needing to do that. And I could always plant a variety of more crops, but for now, there's no reason that potatoes and corn can't keep me fed. So there's the full yield. And let's cycle back out. So I'm going to make a fabricator so I can make a nuclear battery. The fabricator is an item that allows you to manufacture pretty much everything in the game. It is a little bit bulkier and definitely slower. So if you're making something like pipes or cables, it is faster to do it in the electronics printer or the hydraulic pipe bender than the Fabricator. The Fabricator is not fast, so I'm just making sure that that is known. It is not as speedy as everything else. So what I'm going to do while we're working on this Fabricator here is to make some rarer compounds. So I'm going to put my mining belt on. We will close this valve here, and then I'm going to work on first Invar. So Invar is probably one of the most challenging ones to make in the game because it requires a very tight tolerance of pressure and temperature. So if you're interested, I will read it off to you. But it's basically between 6 and 7 MPa, which we had just acquired more or less. So Invar is nickel and iron. So let me get the nickel and iron into the furnace. And we'll make a big batch of it because I don't like making Invar very much. So what I did here was put 5 of each metal, or 5 of each ice, and that will form Invar. So Invar requires between 6 and 7 MPa of pressure, and then between 12 and 20 kk of temperature. So you should read that as, i.e., pain in the butt to make. It's pretty simple if you know the ratio, and as you saw, I just put 5 of each ice in, and voila, we had no problem at all. Another thing I'm going to need to do is a run of steel. We are low on steel, but this furnace here is getting cold, so we're not going to be able to make the steel just yet. All right, so here's our Fabricator. Oops, I only want one. Next up, so we have the Invar. We're also going to want to make Constantin, and that will be all of the sort of rarer ones. So Constantin is copper and nickel, and I just used my nickel, didn't I? Okay, I should have made a half batch of that Invar. Let's see. Let's exhaust this out and work next on the Fabricator. So Fabricators are going to require a computer as well. And it will require a specific motherboard in the computer. So the computer used to have an IC editor. We're going to put a fabricating motherboard in there. So our Fabricator is going to go right here, like this. And I'm going to need some more cables to power this thing on. And actually what I just did was whatever I was making, that motherboard is definitely not constructed anymore. Because I'm moving the cables around. Okay. What I'll do is put the computer here, like this. These cables are going to need to move once again. And we're going to lay them out like this. And now I'm out of cabling, but my I can't even turn on my electronics printer because we don't have the ability to plug it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cannibalize some of the cables to the arc furnace here. Actually, I can just power on my arc furnace a little bit more efficiently if I wanted to, just by going like this. There we go. And now I can run power to my my electronics printer if I need more cabling. Okay, which we do. First off, I'm going to make the motherboard, and then I'll make the cables. So we exhausted the furnace over here. So it is ready for some steel. So while that motherboard rolls out, I'm going to switch belts again. Taking advantage of nighttime, split this stack in half and put half of my volatiles in. And fire that off. And then split this into one. I'm going to do this twice so that I have in my belt the ability to do another smelt even during the daytime. Alright, that's done. And now for iron. Iron is going to be 3 parts iron to 1 part coal. I don't need 2 manufacturing motherboards, so I stopped that. So there's some iron, more iron, and coal. I'm also going to need some cables. So here is the steel I'm going to need. Voila. And I wouldn't mind making a little bit extra gold either. For now, that's probably enough cables. Thank you. So now I just need to run cables from the data port of the computer to the data port of the fabricator. Like that. I have the wrong belt on, don't I? There we go. And put the rest of my cables away in my belt. Gold got made. Cool. Alright. Now, at this point, if I want a better suit battery, because I'm tired of constantly having to fight my battery charge, let's work on a nuclear-powered battery. Right? That sounds pretty cool, right? Let's put all of the materials we have into the fabricator. Now, the fabricator doesn't, like, it doesn't make all items the fastest, but it makes all items. There we go. Switching my battery around. Once again, a reminder of why I want to do this. So if we look at the fabricator, the way to add something to the fabricator is you need a manufacturing motherboard in there. You need the computer to be data connected to the fabricator. And then we can pick things. So if I wanted to, let's say, make a nuclear battery, I select it. I select how many I want. So we could do 5 at once if we wanted to. And then I hit play. And because I made Invar and all that, I also need to turn on the fabricator. So right now I need Constantin. It's saying I have enough Electrum, I have enough solder, I have enough Invar, but I don't have any Constantin. For me to make Constantin is copper and nickel. And as you can see, I'm kind of out of nickel. So what I need to do is go find some nickel, but I think I should wait for the day. And then, of course, if you increase the amount you want, it will tell you whatever other recipes you have. And if you want to remove it, you can remove it. And then if we take a look, like let's say I just want a large battery, I could make one. And it shows me all the resources I need. It shows the amount of time I need, so on and so forth. And it won't use any of the resources until it's fully manufactured, just like the other benches. So now that it's becoming daytime, let me go find some nickel. I overlooked the fact that I'm going to need Constantin, so I apologize to you all, but here we go. I think there was nickel in this direction, last I checked. Could be wrong. Nickel is a metal that you're not going to need often. Oh, here it is. Yes. No, this is iron. Nickel kind of looks like iron, but it doesn't have the dark flecks in it. And maybe I don't know where nickel is. That's some gold. That's a big hole. That got rendered. Once the sun is a little bit higher in the sky, it will be a lot easier once we're not searching in shadow. That looks like silver. Yep, that's silver or gold. Which is that? That's gold. Coal and iron. And always, there's a weird question about why is there coal on Mars. We don't know for certain. There isn't. I mean, I don't think there would be, but I don't know. I haven't searched all of Mars. We've barely searched any of Mars. Imagine being dropped into the middle of the Amazon, searching for 3 miles in every direction, saying, "Oh, there's no humans here." You'd obviously be correct about those 3 miles of the Amazon, but probably not correct about, the country of Brazil. Wow, nickel, come on, man. You're gonna kill me. So, nickel, silver, and... oh, lead. This is lead. Nickel, silver, and lead are rarer resources. Lead is used to make stronger suits and also solder. That's a big thing of copper. I'll try to remember that. And then silver is made for electrum. I think there might be another use for it, but primarily electrum. And then same with nickel. I don't think nickel and silver don't really have a purpose. It has a few purposes outside of the compound that it contributes to. Same with lead. They're primarily to make Constantin, Invar, and electrum, but occasionally, rarely, but occasionally, a recipe will require nickel or lead. Off the top of my head, I can't think of one other than like a hard suit might require lead. Okay, we're venturing further and further and further from home. As you can see, some holes of past mining projects. Some gold. I'm trying to keep the base as a point of reference while I travel further and further for my precious nickel. And I only need 10 parts of nickel for the nuclear battery, so that means I only really need 5 or 10 Constantin. Oh, here's some nickel. Finally. It's not always very easy to find, but yeah, it does excavate in larger chunks, which is fortunate. And if I can, I'm going to make a run of 50. So I don't have to do this again. And I almost have the 50 I need. There was some down here because I keep getting the flicker. Ah, there it is. Alright, so we have enough nickel. And I believe I live this direction. Yes. Oh, I was right. Oh, I overshot my furnace, though. So the furnace here is all set up to... yeah, it was all heated up already because of the steel we made, so I'm going to vent it out. And then Constantin, which is what we need for the nuclear-powered battery, is a 1-to-1 ratio. Oh, why are you... no, stop. There's no way I had the resources for that. That was telling me I was making a nuclear battery, but it's actually not a nuclear battery. It's going to be a large battery. I think the easiest way for me to stop this... that's odd. I don't usually have this problem. Okay, fine. Make the large battery. Good job. You made a large battery. It doesn't hurt to have a spare large battery. It's just... we can slap this large battery in here. It's just I didn't really need one, right? I wanted my nuclear battery. Alright, whatever. So now the furnace is almost certainly vented. So let's turn off the valve and drop our nickel that we're going to need. So as a reminder, once again, Constantin is nickel and copper. So we have a stack of nickel, a stack of copper. I'm going to alt-drag my fuels into the furnace so they don't get burned up by the atmosphere. Fire this on. Nickel and copper. Going into equal parts. And keep the mold closed, of course, or you're just going to make ingots of copper and nickel. You can reintroduce ingots into your furnace. Alright, and then it's telling me, what? I need a temperature of above 10. Yeah, it just cooled down a little bit too much. You're killing me. Really? You're killing me. So I need some volatiles, because I just ran out. Ha! At least this was a little bit easier to find. And I'm just going to mine 5 of them. I'll mine more fuel for the furnace later. But for now, I'm not really able to split stacks in the day, because I don't have a proper furnace room, so... yeah, as you can see, it's kind of melting in my hands. Okay, too hot? The pressure, I think, is too high now. Constantin needs a pressure of below 10, and we're at 10.3. So if I vent a little bit... Now it's just... Oh, it's also too hot, but it's too hot by barely nothing. Yeah, there we go. There's my Constantin. I worked for that pretty hard, I'd have to say. And now, I can make a nuclear-powered battery. Yes, it's a little strange that it doesn't have any uranium involved, but it will hold an insane amount of charge. And at this point, I really haven't used my battery charger. And not for any good reason. I just never really installed one. So let's go ahead and install one. Gonna put it here. And that means I'll have to wire it up, meaning I'm gonna have to wear my tool belt. So the power input is there, I hope. Yeah, the power input's there. And we'll run a cable over to the arc furnace. So that's the closest power pickup we can have. Switch to my wire cutters, and done. Now, flick this thing on. And we can stick the nuclear battery in there, and it will start charging up. It's going to take a very long time to charge up because it stores a lot of power, and the battery charger. Oh, you know what actually occurred to me? Okay, so yeah. The battery charger here. Hang on, I'm going to re-engineer this. If we really want to put a lot of power into that battery quick, there's a better way of doing this. And let me do it the better way just to demonstrate. So the better way to do it is to use heavy cables. And I want to do it the better way. I want to do it the fast way. So we're going to go ahead and take the battery charger out. And then let's manufacture some heavy cables. So heavy cables can hold more charge. Oh, I don't need my jetpack. It burns out at higher capacity than the light cables. The light cables are at 5 kilowatt, and heavy cables are at like 50 kilowatt. And it might actually have been easier. Here it is. Cable coil heavy. And we will make 10 of them. So the way to do this faster would be for the power coming off of this battery here to go into heavy cables instead of the light cables that I currently have. So we're going to replace some of the cabling, and then the cables will be able to hold higher charge. So downstream off of these area power controllers, the area power controllers act as transformers so that it doesn't try to, if downstream from this area power controller, all of my devices were trying to draw more than 5 kilowatts, the power controller only puts out 5 kilowatts. It maxes out at 5 kilowatts. So you can actually brown out. But what I'm going to do instead is to put my battery charger right here. Maybe I need to fit it in around here. And what that will allow me to do is to send more than the 5 kilowatts into the battery charger. So whatever battery is being charged gets charged like super fast. And I will make enough heavy cable coils to know that I can do this. Because when I rip up this current wiring here, what will end up happening is the Fabricator will turn off. You know, it won't have power. So I think 10 is probably enough. Because we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we'll get this going. And this way, any battery that we slap into the battery charger will be charged quite rapidly. Okay, so now for the teardown, we're going to remove all of this inferior light cable, and temporarily our base will run off of battery power. Small battery, the batteries that are installed. And I'm going to move this APC as well, because it's going to be in the way, which means now much of the base is dark, which is why I wanted all the cables that we needed. And then I'm going to install my my charger. So at this point, let's grab the heavy cable coils, and we want it to look something like this, where we have power coming off the battery, and maybe a 3-way junction here. Actually, a corner junction. Yep. And as you see, the heavier cables are made with gold, so they're more expensive, and they're thicker. It's pretty clear it's a heavy cable. And then, yeah, we actually don't have enough just yet. So, funny enough, I'm going to need to run off of battery power and make one more heavy coil, because it's going to go here. So battery large, turn this on. All right, one more cable. I don't particularly like using the Fabricator because they make things like coils slow, and then it requires a lot of power, and they're sort of clunky to use. I don't know. It's fine, I guess. So here we add a straight cable in, and now the kit battery here is powering up this APC and this APC, and then this APC we will need to run power back out to whatever this plugged into, our filtration, I think. There. Now everything's back to normal. And as a result, what will end up happening, we slap this nuclear battery in there, it is going to be charged up real quick. What will end up happening is our kit battery will actually dump, will empty out pretty quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap some small batteries in and put my large batteries where I want them. And then additionally, let's see, we have a small battery here. Put large batteries. And now we have a lot of large batteries to swap to if we want. And there's a lot of other batteries that are in items around the base, like nope, the tracking beacon is actually empty. So actually that might be all of my batteries. Let's see how much power this is drawing. I'm sort of curious. So let's grab the network analyzer and our tablet and switch the cartridge from atmosphere to network. And now the network analyzer will show me how much power we're drawing off of something. So for instance, this APC here is drawing 300 to 400 watts. And what the wall cooler, when it turns on, is the 400 watts, and then when it's off, it's 300 watts or 350. And then this here APC is drawing 110, and that is for the solar logic. And then here, this battery charger is pulling in 1,000 watts. Yes. So I think actually the battery charger might not pull in the maximum amount, but at least this is a smart way of doing it in the future. So now that I have this tablet out, let's go and see how much carbon dioxide we've pulled from the atmosphere, because we might just want to not store anymore. Yeah, we have 26 MPa of CO2, so that's pretty much more than I'm ever going to want or need. So let's pull this filter out. And without a filter, what will end up happening, I'll just put this in my backpack, is no gas gets filtered out and everything just passes through that filter unit. So as you can see, the pressure of the carbon dioxide tank is no longer climbing. We are still gaining oxygen. That's not very much oxygen, of course. And then we're still gaining nitrogen. And this is why, and of course X too. And this is why I wanted to, while I construct the base, leave these things on for a very, very, very long time, because we're going to need a lot of oxygen and a lot of nitrogen to fill this beautiful base up with the required amount of air to be able to make it breathable. So next episode, what I think I'm going to do is finish off some of the atmospherics here, and listen to whatever suggestions you guys have. Wall it off, air pressure it. I don't think I have enough air to really make any difference, but I could do that if you suggest. So any suggestions you have for this base or for the next episode, drop me a line, and I do hope that you tune in next time. I hope I've explained everything as thoroughly as I can. I hope it's been interesting, and I'll catch you all later. Thank you all very much for watching. Adios.